Well, hello. Thanks for tuning into my channel today. I'm Steve from Steve R Photography, and today I just want to give a brief introduction to wedding photography. And that is, you're new, you want to get in, you want to shoot your very first wedding. How should you go about it? Well, first, I will start a little bit with talking about some of my experiences back many years ago when I started doing mine. And I wouldn't really recommend doing it the way that I started, but I think I'll use that as an example what not to do. Back in my day, I started off working, well, let me just back up a little bit. I started doing photography classes in college. I took photography classes in high school. I shot various things like birthday parties, other celebration type things. And after working with, inside of a studio, a photographer who shot some weddings, I put the albums together, and I got to see what type of shots the photographer did. I got to see the albums, how they were put together, and all that. But when I shot my first wedding, I pretty much just went out and shot a wedding with really not going in as an apprentice or going in as a photographer's assistant or any of that. And I pulled off the weddings, and the clients were satisfied, and and there were mistakes made here and there, and I learned as I went. But really, the way I would recommend about going for trying to shoot your first wedding is I would first go to Craigslist and look for where photographers are looking for an assistant. There's often, and I actually put out ads for wanting to hire people to help just hold equipment or whatever. And I have some people that that's how I've gotten to know them. So I have some people that I can call and go to now. But if you go on Craigslist or some of the other photo websites, you can find photographers that have a gig or a wedding that they're shooting, and they're asking for, hey, I'll pay someone $20-25 an hour to come help, hold equipment, follow me around, kind of carry equipment around, whatever. And that's probably one of your better ways to get in. Sometimes photographers will look for people that maybe they won't pay them, but they'll just give you the opportunity to see what they're doing. You can blow their equipment. You follow them around. You might be holding a flash for them at for certain something. You're maybe changing their battery in their gear, whatever. It's just an extra set of hands. But what's valuable about that, number one, it's not really high stress. You're there just to kind of do what the photographer asks you to do, and it's not going to be anything hard or complicated. You're there to see how he poses his people there at the wedding. You get to see what type of shots he does. You get to see how he works with the clients and how he interacts with the bride. There's a lot that you can learn from doing stuff like that. So that would be my recommendation. Go and shoot. Not go shoot, but go as an assistant for somebody else on a shoot, and do that a few times until you get a little bit, you also get a little bit comfortable just being in the wedding atmosphere. Before you even go to shoot a wedding, then you could go as a second shooter. So you're there as an extra photographer. You're getting some, maybe not the key moments of the bride and groom and all that, and all the family, portraits and all that, but you're getting a lot of the reception. You're getting some background stuff. You're getting stuff that helps the photographers, and it helps make his album look more complete. But at the end of the day, you're not really on the hook. All eyes are on you, and you have to make sure that you present this, the wonderful pictures to the bride and groom. So it takes a lot off your shoulders that way. So, and you get to see, how your pictures turn out. You get to see, take a look and also get some comments from the photographer. When he sees your images and stuff, you can say, hey, how do they look? what can I do differently to make them look better? So, and oftentimes, you know, photographers are very willing to give you some advice and some tips here and there. So now let me get back to, you know, one of the things that I did is I just went in and did it without assisting. And like I said, I pulled it off. When I go back and I look at them, I can almost say, oh man, why did I do this or that? And going in and working with the bride and groom, and especially when you get large groups, you know, large wedding party, and how to position, and you know, the bridesmaids and the groomsmen, and you know, how do you make everything look good and everything. Those were areas where at a time I might stumble, and you know, I had to kind of act like I knew what I was doing, but I really didn't. And you know, it didn't always give the best look, you know, and I'd be scratching my head like, I wish I would have done this, I wish I would have done that. But you know, at the time I was doing them real cheap. So you know, of course, when you do them real cheap, they're not expecting, you know, fantastic results like they've, you know, spent thousands of dollars on a wedding photographer. So you know, I think certainly I gave them their money's worth or even more. So you know, I think I did my end of what I was supposed to do as a photographer. So, but of course, we always critique our own stuff, and you look at it and you go, oh man, I wish I would have done this better, I wish I would have done that, you know. And it's just but so that would be my recommendation. You know, get some experience, work with another photographer, carry their equipment, get in however you can get in as a second shooter, do that for a little while. Next thing I want to talk to about is, okay, so you want to shoot your first wedding. Obviously you probably don't have tons of gear, you don't have multiple cameras, maybe you do, multiple lenses, you don't have studio lights, you don't have, you know, you're probably looking just working off of a basic set of equipment. You may just have like a you know, a couple bodies and a couple lenses and maybe a flash. But one thing I will stress, you definitely want to have backup bodies and backup gear for everything. I know when I started, there were times like, yeah, I didn't have a backup for everything, and some chances I took and got away with it. Would not recommend it. I don't do that now. But those are things you want to make sure you cover those bases. Make sure you've got your backup gear. Now, what do you need to shoot your first wedding? Well, obviously you're going to need a camera body. You're going to want, I would say you probably want at least 3 different lenses. You're going to want a wide angle lens. You're going to want a telephoto lens, and you might want something a little bit in between. You could get by on 2 lenses, and I will say a lot of weddings I shoot, sometimes I'm primarily just shooting maybe with 2 different lenses, and they're zoom, you know, they're a wide angle that have a zoom and telephoto that have a zoom. It's, you know, typically your 24 to 70 and your 70 to 200. That pretty much covers a lot right there. Flash, lighting, that's very important. If you're going to shoot a flash, how are you going to use it? You know, one of the things you don't want to do is take the flash and have it at a right angle and it's point it right at your subjects, and you just get very harsh lighting. It doesn't produce very nice. You want to diffuse your light. You want to put a diffuser on your flash. So you got your flash right here, diffuser. Put that on there. That diffuses the light. You may want to put it up on your camera. I'll grab this one right here. And you can put it on like that, angle it, bounce it off. You can bounce it off the back of you, all of that. But definitely you want some way of diffusing your flash, and you don't want to have it like this and go click, click. definitely don't want to do that. You definitely want to be very familiar with your camera gear, your flash. There's nothing like, you know, taking some test shots before the wedding and you think you know everything, but I'll tell you one thing. The time that you're going to find out that you don't know everything about your camera and you don't know everything about your flash is going to be when you come to shoot that wedding. There's going to be something that comes up. You're going to, because you're nervous, you're going to hit some buttons on your camera, on your flash that you'd never hit. And now your camera is some mode and you're like, what the heck? I've never seen this. I've never done it. What's going on with my camera? That's not the time that you want your camera in some kind of mode that you're really unaware of and you don't know how to get out of. So make sure, read through the manual, make sure you know. Pick it up. You know, I would even go through and accidentally hit some, I mean, just hit them, like if you know, all over the place. See if you can get your camera in a weird mode and see if you can get it out. You really want to know your camera very well. So if something pops up, you go, oh yeah, that's right, this is on, I got to pull this, that, boom, all right, I'm out of that mode. You don't want any surprises like that. I can tell you that. So make sure whatever equipment you're using, and I'm not going to go in this video about whether you shoot Micro Four Thirds, full frame, APS-C, whatever. Not for this video, but whatever you're using, make sure you know your camera. Go through all the menus, be very meticulous, just make sure you know your camera modes. Your flash can get in sometimes can get into a weird mode. Make sure you know how to get out of those modes and get your, you know, flash working the way you want. You might want to try to find some church events, some other type events, any organizations that you're part of, volunteer, say, hey, let me come, I'll take some pictures, I'll do them free. That way you can kind of treat it like if you were doing a wedding, but you're not, but you're bringing your gear, you're bringing your camera, you're bringing your flash, and you're shooting those events. You know, it might be like maybe your church has some celebration for somebody, or maybe there's a birthday, or maybe you go to somebody's house and they're having a 40th anniversary for a couple, whatever it is. Say, hey, I will bring my camera, I will bring my stuff, I'll get some pictures, I would just love to do it, and you give it to them for free. And use that time to see if anything arises, and if anything like, wow, something happened on my camera and it took me like 15 minutes to get out of that mode, you know, then you'll learn. Also try different things with your flash, bouncing it, you know, put the diffuser on. I'm a big advocate. I don't shoot any of my weddings anymore. Back in the day I did. I don't shoot like this. I have studio lights. All my lights are always off camera. I have a trigger on top of there. That's the way I shoot now. When you're starting off your first wedding, you're probably not going to do that. So, but however, you do, you know, maybe you will. Maybe you've practiced a lot. Maybe you're very comfortable with doing. Then whatever method that you're going to use, make sure you practice that method at some other events that are much low key. The pressure's not really on you. It's not a wedding, and do it, because I guarantee you there are going to be some surprises that happen. You're going to be like, whoa, what just happened here? And at least you'll be in a situation to where maybe you have some time to, you know, it's not critical, and it give you the chance to learn what happened, and if it happens again, you'll know how to get out of it. So what else? So what do you want to bring with you to the wedding? Like, do you want to use hard cases? I mean, decide. You know, you can use hard cases with gear in there. It's not always what I've used, but I do now, and it's got my logo on it, and they're, you know, I can throw them around, I can stand on them. You can use camera bags. However, you know, whatever method you use, probably you're going to probably have a camera bag. You're going to probably have a couple bodies. Maybe you have a couple different lenses. Maybe you have a couple flashes. But whatever it is, make sure that's another thing. Get to know your bag. There are pockets that you may just inadvertently put some batteries in or stuff them in some weird place, and you go to there on the wedding day and you're like, I can't find these extra batteries, you know, and then later you'd be like, oh, there's where they were. So just things like that can trip you up on a wedding day. So, you know, make sure you know your gear. Make sure you mentally or just kind of know, where did I put my batteries? Where did I put my flashes? One of the reasons I went to a hard case is for that specific reason. Bags, because they have so many pockets in them, and you try different bags, and you try this bag and that bag, and then you get kind of confused, like, you know, which pockets and which type of bag, and things can get hidden. Some have very deep pockets, and you're reaching around, fumbling around. So, and another thing is, when I'm packing up after a wedding, this has happened to me. I'm packing everything up. I look in my bag. I'm like, yeah, it looks like I got everything in there. I do a scan. I look around. Okay, got everything. You get home and you start unpacking things and you find, oh no, I think I left that one adapter, or that, you know, I left a couple spare batteries on a charger in a slot. You know, I mean, in a wall, in the wall. You know, it was under a table somewhere, and you know, you can leave equipment behind that way, and it's happened to me. The bags, you know, because the way the pockets are, you know, I would just end up throwing a lens there, grab it, put my other lens in there, and I didn't really have a system for one lens goes in one spot and the bodies go. I would kind of just put them in, because a lot of the pockets can fit, you know, different size lenses, so I didn't really have a real system, so it was kind of hard to know if I was really missing something. I thought I did. So, but with the hard case, what I did is I actually cut out pieces or slots inside the foam pieces, so every lens had its own tailored slot for it, so I could open up the case and see, yep, I'm missing that lens. Oh, I got some slots for batteries. Oh, I'm missing a couple batteries because they're not in there. Oh, okay, I got one in the battery, I got one in that camera. Okay, I'm accounted for. I got some hard cases for my flashes and other, you know, trigger equipment, cables, and all of that. And you open them up and everything's easy to see. So, but when you first start out, you're probably not going to have a ton of gear, so that's not going to be as much of an issue. But I think it's worth saying, start off with a system. You want to start off with something that you can carry along with you. You don't want to just gradually grow equipment and then you have this problem. You know, start off with maybe a hard case or something. And yes, you will have to upgrade that to something bigger later down the road. Maybe you get yourself a big bag and you say, okay, I'm going to really make all my equipment fit in there, and you know, this one right area here is only going to be for this lens, this area will be for this lens, this pocket's for this flash. But try to be consistent how you pack your gear, because that will go a long distance. And so I think the big takeaways from this video: number one, get some prior experience, whether you're shooting or not shooting, whether you're assisting another photographer at a wedding. I think definitely you should shoot some other less low pressure, you know, lower pressure birthday, celebration, church event, free events. Shoot some of those, get some practice, get to know, you know, your gear, see if anything arises that trips you up. So that way, next time in a wedding, you'll be able to deal with that situation. Go through your camera gear, go through the manual, go through the menus several times, because you can do it, you know, for a couple hours and oh, I got it. come back a month later, you've forgotten that. So go through your menus every so often and just refresh your memory. You know, what page in the menu is the flash setting? Sometimes it's not so obvious. Go through your bags. Make sure you get them organized. Make sure you designate certain pockets for certain items. These are some of the organization type things that will carry a long way, and they will really it'll save so much headaches and hassles during the wedding. So backup gear, make sure you got a plan for backup. You got some backups. You definitely want plenty of batteries. Lighting, start off with a couple flashes. It doesn't have to be elaborate. You're doing your first few weddings. You're doing, you're not trying to offer, fancy lighting and all of that. So you keep it simple. You start simple, and then you start building it up a little bit more complex. I have some weddings I might have 3 or 4 lights going, but I certainly didn't start that way. So start simple. The biggest thing, if you try to get fancy and you try to use a lot of lights and you don't have much experience using, you'll probably get less good results. You'll probably get very bad results. You would probably get much better just sticking to one camera flash and bounce and just keep things more simple until you can kind of elevate yourself up to doing a little bit more complex lighting. That's something that you really want to build up to. So don't take a challenge of saying like, I'm going to step up to this level. No, if you've never done that or you haven't really done that much, don't go that route. Keep it simple. I've seen weddings done with no flash, with no lighting, all available light. And people who do it and do it right, it looks very nice. So you don't have to have studio lights. You don't have to have a flash. There are ways to do it. So, but find your style and find what works for you and practice it before the wedding. I think that's mainly the key points for this video. Anyway, I think I'll shut it off here because there's a whole bunch of things I brought up that I'm going to spin into other videos, but I can't just sit here all day and talk about stuff. So anyway, thanks for visiting my channel, and please, like my videos, subscribe. I'm going to keep bringing up videos. I had to take a little bit of a break. I was working on a project for my son, so I'm back at it now. So more videos will be coming up, and various topics will be coming up. Thank you anyway, and I hope to see you back here again.